Morning, Friday the 12th of April. Right, dollar index, surprise, surprise, going sideways. We are holding the mid-Bollinger, the midpoint or the midline, whatever you want to call it, of the Bollinger Band, which we did identify as support, so that has worked this week. The hourly chart shows us in a very short-term channel, would you call that? I guess you would. Well, look, this trend line's certainly working, isn't it? We've now got this trend line, 500-hour moving average, and some confluence of short-term Fibonacci support at around 96.85, 96.80. So that is going to remain absolutely key, and it certainly worked all week. Aussie dollar in a sideways trend. Just to emphasize that, we spiked up to 71.74, which means I just about got away with being short at 71.55.60, and yesterday we dropped to 71.13. So fortunately there was some profit in that trade, and as you can see we've held perfectly the 55-day moving average and the midpoint of the midline of the Bollinger Bands. So now what happens? Maybe we race back up here again. I wouldn't try a short this time. I would be more concerned about a break higher. So I'm just going to leave that now. I think we were very lucky to make any money at all in the Aussie dollar this week, considering how absolutely dreadful this trend is. This week the dollar yen dipped from that trend line going back to the beginning of February. I wasn't sure if it would, but it did hold. I didn't suggest a short up there. I didn't have the balls to do it, to be fair. But what I did suggest was a long down at 111.10, 111.00 with a stop below 80. We got that trade worked beautifully as well. Yesterday it really kicked in, the low at 110.89, and we've rocketed up to 111.69. So a decent profit. We're holding above the 200-day moving average, so it looks positive again. Maybe now we'll move up to 112.10, 112.20, and I will talk about that next week because that's an important level. Been a really good week. If you've been trading the euro US dollar, I have suggested shorts around 112.80, 112.90, and that's worked every single day. Well, we didn't quite get there on, what was that day? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We've made money on that trade every day. So that's great in a market that is so difficult to read or not even moving much. There we have the short-term chart in the euro US dollar. So we are in something of an upward channel. Clearly we do have support around 112.50, 112.40. So if you fancy trying along there, fair enough. It's a really tight stop below, let's say 112.25. That should just give us enough room without risking much money. A recovery targets 112.75, 112.85. That is our first resistance level, and if we break high then we're looking at 113.05, 113.10 I'd say. Those are the levels if you're scalping the euro US dollar. Fortunately we've avoided trading the other forex pairs. I just don't see any opportunities in them, and I'm lucky enough to have identified the best opportunities of the week in the Aussie, the yen, the euro. We got stopped out the New Zealand dollar, that short position, so that one didn't work, but the rest did. I think it's been a pretty good week. Gold, identified this trend line as resistance. I didn't suggest a short. I wasn't ballsy enough. I thought it was possible we'd break higher, having beaten 13.03. But look at this. We've just wiped out all of the gains for the week. I can't say that I expected that, but it does indicate that this channel is becoming more relevant. You see this downward sloping channel. I would certainly be I'm concerned for the bulls, put it that way. We've now got support at 12.87, 12.84 with a break below 12.80, acting as quite a significant sell signal. So we've then got to watch the 500-day moving average at around 12.74, 12.75, but I don't think that will hold it, not for long anyway. We might see an initial bounce, perhaps back up to that mid 12.80 area, but then maybe a collapse down to 12.50. That's my best guess. As you can see, this channel does seem to be developing. So in order to break that, the bulls are going to have to get us through 13.10. That would be the buy signal, but unless that happens, it's looking pretty negative. Whilst I wasn't sure about selling gold, I was very sure about selling silver in this obvious resistance area, and that worked perfectly. If you were short yesterday, beautiful. We've collapsed from 15.25 down to 14.88. That looks pretty good. Now we're holding below the 200-day moving average. So this also is looking increasingly negative for silver. I like it when silver and gold line up, both looking quite negative. Obviously, we've got lows for the month at 14.88, which held perfectly yesterday as well. So we've got two lows there at 14.88 and a break below that, and in particular a weekly close below that would be negative. There's a little bit of trendline support here at 1480, so I would suggest that it's only below just above 1480. I would suggest that below 1480 would be a very significant sell signal, and if we close the week, or it looks like we're closing the week below there, you may even want to put a short on and run it over the weekend. Aussie New Zealand was another big winner over the last few days as we broke above the 104.90 area for the buy signal. If you jumped into a long, lovely. The target was the low 106.00 area. We got to 106.11. Bang. I don't think you can do any better than that. We've got a nice little a slightly negative candle on Thursday, so you should be out. You must be out of this. I told you to get out of it. If you're not out of it, get out now. Because the risk is that we sink. I don't know how far, but certainly if we get down to 104.90, 104.80, I'll re-examine this and see if it's worth getting long again. Oil, I've been talking about more of a sideways trend going into the end of the week, and that seems to be what's happened. We recovered on Wednesday, dropped again on Thursday, watched the trend line down at 63.00, 62.90. A break below there would risk a move towards 61.50. 61.40, but I wouldn't rule out a move to the downside, especially as we're so overbought. I certainly wouldn't rule it out, but at the moment we don't have a strong sell signal, so I can't suggest a short. If you are desperate to sell oil, what I would do is I would sell it on a break below 63.00, 62.90. But I wouldn't get too aggressively involved. It's a Friday. We've had a really good week in very, very difficult conditions. You should have bagged some decent profits. And what is the point in giving any of it back today? You might as well enjoy the day, enjoy the weekend, and be ready for next week. So the E-mini S&P I will finish up on, and we have that very important resistance area at 28.96, 28.99, and that has worked perfectly. We've gone sideways this week. If you were shorting up there, you've been offered a little bit of profit every now and then on some dips. We dipped again yesterday to 12.85, I think it was. Sorry, 28.85. There's the short-term chart. So for bears, we need to break below 28.84, and then we can retest the week's low at 28.77. Little bit of fib support at 28.74. We're at the mercy of the earnings season now, aren't we? So I'm not going to try and guess where we go, but certainly it wouldn't be a surprise to see a bit of a correction because we've had such a run. We are overbought and we've hit a little bit of resistance. I'm short, small short. It's more of a punt than anything else, more of a gamble because there's no clear sell signal. I just think we're just so overdone. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little reaction to the downside. I'll be out above 29.05, so it's pretty low risk. Okay, have a good weekend, and as I say, don't risk losing much or really any of the profit you've made this week. It's been a good week, and these weeks are not easy to find.